Hello out there. How you doing? It's Dr. Renita, and this is my lovely guest, not Dr. Ansylla Ramsey.
Good afternoon, everyone.
We're going to be starting in just a little bit, and we're going to do more formal introductions then. But I did want to, sort of get the camera rolling.
Here we go. Yes, and I can share it now.
Right. Okay, looks like we have one viewer. Is that you? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right, so we're going to give folks probably another minute to tune in, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, this video can be viewed at a later time. So for those of you who are not able to be on, the video will be accessible at a later time.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today for this month's Hour of Breakthrough. We are actually going to be talking about surviving the holiday, surviving and not just surviving, but thriving throughout the holiday season. We know that it can be a joyful time, but it can also be a difficult time for some. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we get into our topic, I do want to introduce my lovely guest, Miss Ansylla Ramsey. Let me tell you a little bit about Ansylla. You all might remember her from a couple of months ago. We had her on a show where we were talking about stress and entrepreneurs and, being an entrepreneur and what that's like and all of that goes into that. And Ansylla came as a fellow entrepreneur and someone who has been in the business of natural hair care for close to 20 years. She's also been internationally recognized and, has gone across the world really, helping natural hair care stylists, grow their business and, educating them on natural hair. And so Ansylla is actually a financial manager expert sort of person.
Ansylla's on her financial journey and is going to share what she's learning with other people.
Okay, perfect. Beautiful.
Yes.
And we appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it. So Ansylla's going to actually talk to us today about her experience in the area of finance and how she can help based on her knowledge and wisdom with regard to that. So excited to have her join us again today. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And I just want to, for those of you who are new to the Hour of Breakthrough, just wanted to give a quick blurb about what it is. It's basically a monthly segment that I do where I talk about issues that affect our community regarding mental health. So I'll often have a topic about, some sort of mental health issue and, create a forum or a space where you all can ask questions. If I don't have anyone ask questions, I'll provide the information, but I'll also provide links for resources as well. So hopefully we'll have more people joining us, and this will be an opportunity for you to get your mental health questions answered. I'm Dr. Renita Gabriel. I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Maryland and in DC. I have a private practice in Bowie and Lanham right now, but I'll be consolidating my offices into one office in Lanham next month. Right now, I'm not accepting new patients, so I apologize, but maybe in the next month or so. So that's a little bit about me. But let's go ahead and get into this topic once we get everything straight with the video footage.
You guys know all this technology we have to
I
work it out.
Okay. I tell you, we need to hire an AV person.
Right.
I tell you, it's a lot.
It is.
But we're happy to be able to do this for our viewers and everyone who really wants this information.
Definitely.
Okay, so the holiday blues, many of you may have heard that term thrown around loosely, the holiday blues, but aren't really sure what that is. And so I'm going to provide some information about that. So the holiday blues, and I'm going to make a distinction between that and clinical depression. So the holiday blues is actually it's not only depression or depressive symptoms, but it's also anxious symptoms and stress that are associated specifically with the time frame of, around now, the holiday season. So you have like late November throughout the beginning of the new year, where people are experiencing, inordinate amounts of stress and depressive symptoms associated with the holidays. And so there are several reasons that we think that happens. and they're all connected to the holidays. One of the things that contribute to the holiday blues are the unrealistic expectations that people often set for themselves during this time of year. I have to have the perfect Christmas tree. I have to get all the turkeys and everything, just right for my family of 20 that's coming down from, wherever they're coming up from.
Right.
The financial constraints, which Ansylla's going to talk to us more about in a little bit. So sometimes people, don't have what they'd like to have to be able to, give to loved ones. A lot of times people feel pressure to buy gifts and to make sure that people have certain things, and then that can be a stress when they don't have what they'd like to have, or sometimes people overspend or spend too much, and they're left with the repercussions of that after the new year, and that can be a stressful situation. The inability to be with family and friends, either through loss, the death of a loved one, or just proximity, just not being able to see those that you care for during this time, and just the demands that are associated with the holidays. We were talking earlier about holiday parties and going to those, and just certain things, expectations, and things that you have to feel like you have to do, and just all that goes into the preparation for the holidays. Those are all things that can contribute to stressful feelings and depressive feelings during this time. As opposed to clinical depression, that's something different. That's something that's not, necessarily associated with the holidays, but it can certainly be. If you have clinical depression, it can be exacerbated by this time of year. As you can imagine, stress. I think I know I gave a talk on stress and anxiety before, and stress is never really a good thing. I mean, you have good stress and you have negative stress, but when we're talking about negative stress compounding with a pre-existing mental health condition, that's never really a good thing. So clinical depression is something different. We're talking about the amount of time that symptoms last. There's a cognitive part of that presentation where you're thinking, you have these negativistic thoughts. There is a sense of hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness that can be associated with depression. There are physical symptoms that are also part of that, which include fatigue, and sometimes people either overeat or don't eat enough, and not getting enough sleep, getting too much sleep. So there's a whole lot of things that go into clinical depression that are not the same as the holiday blues. So, well, on the surface they may look the same, but we're talking about duration. How often it occurs. Sometimes people have recurring depressive episodes, whereas holiday blues is really relegated to that's time frame of the holidays. And usually when they're over, things get better. Sometimes people do deal with something known as seasonal affective disorder, where they do experience depressive symptoms associated with the amount of light that we're getting during this time of year. So, the days get shorter. And so, people are not exposed to as much light. So there's light therapy that has historically been helpful for individuals who present with that sort of condition. So those are things that are sort of those are the distinctions between the holiday blues and clinical depression or other types of depression. So I wanted to take some time. So I mentioned some of the things that contribute to the holiday blues, but I wanted to just offer some tips as to what you can do to sort of combat and manage the holiday blues. And so one of the things you can do is to take time for yourself. A lot of times we feel pressure to do everything for everybody and not do anything for ourselves. Well, like self-care has been, we talked a lot about that the last time we met, and how that important that is. Well, it's no different during the holiday season. You need to take time for yourself and, take care of yourself during this time. Even though it can be an exciting time where there's lots of stuff going on, you do need to take a moment out for yourself to do what, you need to do, what you would normally do for self-care. So don't stop getting your nails done, or stop, reading, a book quietly, it's at certain times during the day. Do the things that you would typically do, get away to take care of yourself. So that's important. set realistic expectations. So realize that, things are not gonna be perfect. There's something all tends to go wrong, or quote unquote wrong, but try not to be too hard on yourself about that. Show yourself some compassion. There's a word being thrown around now in the mental health community, self-compassion. Showing yourself kindness and love and care, and just acknowledging that you're not perfect. Things are not going to be perfect, but exercising some compassion with regard to that, and just have a realistic expectation as to what's going to happen. Know what your limitations are, and enlist help as you need it, and that can certainly help with managing some of the stresses that are associated with the holidays. Another thing that's I think could be helpful is remembering what's important. I think I don't know if it was you, Ansylla, but I think I was talking to somebody about how with the holidays and the marketing for the holidays, it's just gotten so aggressive over the past few years. And so it's like you go through, I think after, October 31st, so Halloween, you're right into, Christmas decorations and all of that, when you go to the stores. And so just realizing that, recognizing what's really important. So, you and your family, you know what your values are, and really try to communicate that to your family members, or what's the meaning of the holiday for you, what's important to you during this time. And for many folks, they say that it's really not the materialistic part of it, but do your actions really really show that. So that's important. Volunteering, I think, also during this time, it can be difficult because you are, sometimes without loved ones, and you're not able to be close to your loved ones. So I was talking about, just to kind of backtrack, in terms of self-compassion and self-care, recognize that, you're going through a difficult time because you're remembering, your loved one, and allow yourself that time and that space to think about your loved one and to feel what you're feeling. In addition, though, it can be also helpful to volunteer and help someone who's in need during this time. That can also help, with your mood, and as you're trying to, navigate this season. Also getting support and help, trying not to isolate while you may need that time to be reflective and think about your loved ones. You don't want to get to a place where you're withdrawing completely from, everyone and everything for a long period of time. Definitely, use your support system, reach out, try to be around people and get the support you need. Let people know what you need during this time. So those are some other recommendations. Yeah, so those are pretty much the recommendations that I had with regard to sort of managing the holiday blues, and some of the points that I talked about with the contributors to the holiday blues. So Ansylla, I'm actually going to give Ansylla the floor to talk about some of the financial constraints that are associated with holiday blues, specifically for folks who think I had mentioned, sometimes people find themselves in one of two categories, or sometimes both, where they, maybe don't have the finances to, do what they want to do during the holidays, and there's a lot of guilt and sadness associated with that. And then you have some folks who, maybe didn't really have it to begin with, but they spent whatever they had, and then they're kind of in a situation after the holidays, like, oh my gosh, what do I do? My bank account's a mess, And so what would you say to those individuals, or, people who, are thinking about, who may fall in those categories, may not have done anything just yet? What tips would you give someone regarding their finances in those particular categories?
Okay. One I posted not long ago on Facebook, the best way to live your best life is to defy convention. Sometimes, we do things because we've always done them. Do we stop to say, okay, so why am I doing this? Why do I feel obligated to buy expensive gifts for whoever?
Mm-hmm.
What does that really accomplish? And if we think about it, and this is part of my financial journey, as I said, I've been learning a lot over the past year. I mean, a lot. Just when you understand finances, when you understand assets, when you understand liabilities, when you understand appreciation and depreciation, it really helps you think about how you're spending your money. It really does. So I went to this awesome webinar about 2 weeks ago, and he made such a great point, because I'm involved with a company that has an asset that appreciates. So his point was, Christmas is coming up, people giving gifts. He said, "Do you have any gifts that you got as a teenager that are still valuable?" Exactly.
Crickets.
Exactly. It's like, so we don't think about sometimes, yeah, it's nice. You can buy. I'm not telling anybody not to buy gifts for any reason, but just thinking about what is the point? Why am I doing this? Why do I feel this pressure to spend this money or to get into this debt for this time of year that I do every year? And it's just a cycle. And when is it going to change, or is it going to get any better? So what you said actually applies in the financial realm as well. Thinking about that, thinking long term, assessing your personal situation, being realistic with yourself, being realistic with other people. Girl, I love you, but let's go have lunch. You have to be real. And with so many people, this is such a common problem. No one, I don't know, not many people stop and say, why am I doing this to myself? So I just think if you assess your situation and if you're in a situation that you may not be able to do what you would love to do, then just be honest with yourself. I can't swing that this year. I'm not going to go in debt for the next 3 or 4 years to buy some gifts that likely won't be worth anything next year.
Wow. That's powerful. That really resonated with me, Ansylla, as you were talking about the long term and how we don't really look at the long term. And when you talked about the gentleman who mentioned, do you have anything that you got as a teenager that still has value? And I was really done like,
right.
Most of us don't. So that's really powerful. I think a lot of us don't think about the future and 3 to 4 years from now. We're just thinking about the moment. And so that's not to pick on anyone, because a lot of us are there or have been there. So
and trying to get out.
Yep, exactly. So that's good. I think that's a really helpful tip. Okay, so you have the holidays, and people are doing all this spending and stuff during the holidays. But I think the New Year comes, right? And a lot of times we have New Year's resolutions, and people sort of get caught up with that, and sort of that's a whole nother show about the resolutions
right.
themselves. And I think that I like the ideal of resolutions in the sense of getting your house in order and trying to do better, right? That's essentially what it is. So my question for you, Ansylla, would be, how do we help people just do better in general and get on a track to financial wellness and financial health, if that's such a thing? How would you advise people? How do they get started? How do they make intentional choices and steps, if that's a part of the process, to get there, to get to a better state?
So I could actually talk about this for the next 5 hours.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to condense it and just kind of share the more important things. And I want to just emphasize, I am in no way a financial expert. I have just been learning because Renita and I met because she was my client. I was a loctician, as she mentioned earlier in the video. And I closed my salon because I wanted time freedom. I just needed to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Yeah.
And since I'm not financially wealthy, I didn't inherit a trust fund. I said there has to be a way for me to do this. So this is kind of how I started my journey, just looking for time freedom and still being able to afford the life I want. I don't live extravagantly, but I just want to be comfortable, but still have some control of my time. So through this journey, this learning about finance, understanding money, I'm just going to share some of the core pieces. And honestly, we really could go on for hours on this. But
take notes, everyone. I know I will be.
The first thing that we have to do is get out of our own way. We are so conditioned, or dare I say indoctrinated, to think that there's one way to earn a living. We're taught from young. You go to school, you get your degree, you get your job, you stay there till you have your pension, then you live on your retirement, which for most people is barely enough to survive on.
Right.
And most people, the average person in this country, has the opportunity to do so much more. But because of that conditioning, everything outside of that realm, oh, that's not true. Oh, that's a scam. Oh, no, it's really unfortunate that people miss opportunities because they don't take the time to truly investigate and to understand what these opportunities can really yield. So my first suggestion is to kind of just be open to think outside of the box. Now, I'm going to share something really quick that I learned recently in my investigating. Um, this, you can really make money doing anything with technology. There are people doing blogs and making thousands of dollars a month.
Mm-hmm. Or kids with shows with toy review shows,
Yes, we were
making
talking
millions.
about that, making millions, just reviewing toys.
No
So-
shade, just saying.
Oh no, look, envy.
Right.
Because I wish I had a show that was making millions of dollars just on YouTube for
Right.
free.
Right.
You know, really. So I think that if we would be more open to looking at other ways to earn a living, we would be much further ahead financially.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is where I was going with that. So nowadays we have so many options of how to make money, but what I was saying earlier about this conditioning that we have, that started because of for workers in the industrial age. Because prior to 1913, people taught their children at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they needed workers. So what did? They instituted public education
Wow.
and made it mandatory.
Wow.
So, and in this public education setting, you have children sitting in rows, perfect rows. They can't talk to each other. They can't cheat. They can't collectively work. But this is setting the young ones up to go get that factory job
Gotcha.
where you're the peg.
Wow.
This is what you do. This is what you do.
Look at that.
They wanted worker bees. They didn't want creators. They didn't want
Mm.
collaborators. They didn't want designers. That's where the public school system came from. So, and it's worked. I mean, people have survived. People have made a living.
Right.
Companies got the worker bees they needed, and that was necessary for that time,
Sure.
I guess.
Sure.
But now, worker bees don't make a lot of money. A lot of worker bee jobs no longer exist. So what do we do now? Not to mention that going to school, getting your degree, getting your pension is not helping people live a quality life. Not a lot of people, not everybody.
Yeah.
It's not helping a lot of people live a quality life.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do? Do we just stay on the hamster wheel until 65 and then pray that you can live off the retirement?
Wow.
And at this point, I don't even know if we're going to have Social Security by the time I'm ready to get it.
Right.
That's just
true.
real.
Yeah.
So that said, I really encourage people to look at other ways to earn a living. I don't want this to be a sales pitch for what I do, but I just want people to know that there are companies that give you an opportunity to make money outside of your 9 to 5.
Okay.
What I'm doing personally is I'm showing people how to invest in gold and how to buy cryptocurrency and how to let their money work for them. I mean, it's that simple. When you think about wealthy people, do you think Warren Buffett goes to a job? His money's been working for him for how long? Decades, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the wealthy don't work; they put their money to work. Whereas the average person, like me included, I've been spending all of my adult life. I won't give years. I've spent all my adult life working for money. That's what most of us do because that's what we were taught to do. But once you learn that shift, once you learn, okay, money is a tool, it's not a prize. So you put your money to work for you so that you have the time freedom to do what you want to do, to live your life, to set up a legacy for your children. I know personally, I'm concerned with providing for my mom. She's getting to where she's semi-retired anyway. And she's set up, honestly, for the most part. She's good with her retirement and everything. She planned well. But I want her to be able to live comfortably no matter what. So that's one of my goals, one of the things I'm focused on. So part of it, too, is finding your why. Why do you want to get beyond what you're making for your annual salary?
Is that point number 2?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I'm just rambling. Finding your why, exactly. So maybe you have a family. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. If your money's at work, making money, you can do that.
Wow.
That trading your time for money, that's what wears you out. And then it limits you so much because you only have so many hours a day. Everybody has 24. We get nothing extra.
Right.
So if you have to spend 10 to 12 just to make a living, because if we're talking about an 8-9 hour day, you have to get there. You have to fight the traffic there and back.
Oh, man, I'm getting tired just talking about it. Gosh.
So you're looking at a 10, 12 hour day. That
Yeah.
leaves you 14. You have to sleep.
Yeah.
So that minimizes the amount of time that you spend with your family.
Right. Wow.
Not to mention, if you want to take a vacation, you have to ask for permission. I'll be honest with y'all. That's why when I got fired at my last corporate job, I said there is no going back. These people are not gonna tell me I can't take a vacation. you know. But it took time to get to that place. But that was part of my.
Yeah.
I can't have people telling me that I can't take a vacation. It's just unacceptable.
And what did you lead out with, Ansylla? You had said something when you let out with you wanted your time back, or something you said when you
I wanted time freedom.
time freedom.
Yes.
Yes.
Time freedom and money freedom. Because even if you have the time, if you don't have the money to do anything with it, right. you may as well go to work.
Right.
So you really need both. You need both. Like I said, I've been watching. I'm going to reference a lot of webinars and events I've been to because that's just been my focus for the last year. Awesome webinar. Brian Bean, he is a mentor. His site, I think, is called Mentor to Millions. But he said you can't be busy and broke.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, you want to talk about an aha moment? I was like, you know what? That's what I've been for the past 20 years, wow. Busy and broke.
Wow. Mm.
Because if you're busy, you should be making lots of money.
Mm.
And if you're broke, you should have all the time in the world.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So you can't be busy and broke. So you just need to decide what you're going to do. Because let me clarify this too. I'm talking about working from home. Believe me, I'm not sitting around snacking bonbons and watching soap operas. I'm at home, but I'm working. I'm doing a different type of work. I'm not exchanging my time for money. I'm doing an education. I'm doing a lot of social media, of course. Mm-hmm. But it yields so much more than an hourly compensation. Mm. Because even as a salon owner, I made good money. I mean, I wasn't destitute by any means. But having my money work for me, it makes such a difference. And also, as a salon owner, I had these time constrictions. I had to be at the salon when those appointments were set.
Right.
Regardless.
Right. I know about that.
That's right. I am. Exactly. That's what you do too. So again, that trading time for money, that's just kind of what we've been taught. That's how you make money, but there are other options.
Okay. Good. So Ansylla, maybe at the end of this, will you be providing us with these links again? So would you say Mentor to Millions?
Yes, Mentor to Millions. He is a mentortomillions.com. I think that's his website. But he's just one of the people I've learned a lot from as far as finances.
Okay. What if someone was interested in learning more about what you do, with regard to the goal? Like they really kind of wanted to, explore that a little bit more. Okay. Do you have a website that you provide at the end? Or
my official website is under construction.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm trying to decide how I want it to be, so that's why it's not up yet.
Okay.
But Facebook.com, Carrots and Coins.
Carrots,
Karats, and Coins. That's my Facebook page. I'm actually doing a Facebook Live tonight at 9 p.m.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some of the basics of cryptocurrency and how you can invest in cryptocurrency that's backed by gold. Okay. So that's why my page is called Carrots and Coins, because I talk about gold and I talk about cryptocurrency. Honestly, it's a lot of information to fully understand it, but once I understood how the opportunity works and the benefits of it, and how the dollar has been taken off of the gold standard, and now that's why inflation is so bad, because there's really nothing backing our gold. Let me talk about that. Our dollar. Let me talk about that for a minute. So, of course, we all know what inflation is. Your money has less buying power. Mm-hmm. So a big part of that is because in the early 70s, the dollar was taken off the gold standard. So really, the dollar is backed by nothing. Mm. Honestly, our dollar bill may as well be monopoly money. It's backed by nothing. Oh, wow. Yeah, I know most people don't know that. Mm-hmm. So another good webinar this morning where he really explained how this whole money system works. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating, but I don't have time to talk about it. So the dollar is not backed by anything. And we can just show this very clearly how inflation works. For example, if you had $500 today and went to the grocery store, you might get a basket of food.
Okay, I get a couple bags.
Right. Okay, well, let's make it 100. Okay, let's make it 100. So let's say you put that same $100 in the bank, and in 6 months you withdrew that $100. Would you be able to get as much food as you did today?
Probably not.
No, because of inflation. Right? Exactly. But just to show the variation with gold, if you saved $150,000 in the bank in 1972.
Okay.
Today, it will be worth $16,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. If you saved $150,000 of gold in 1972, today it's worth 4 million.
Oh wow.
So that's why we show people the importance of saving in gold, because you don't lose your buying power.
Got you. That makes sense. Wow. So they can learn more about this on your website, Carrots and Coins. And is that an ampersand?
It's Facebook. It's my Facebook page, Carrots and Coins, all
Okay.
spelled out. Carrots, Karats, and Coins.
So go to Facebook and type in Carrots and Coins, and Ansylla's
My
page should
page.
pop up.
Yes.
And so if you want to hear more about this and go into more depth with this, because it
Right.
really sounds like very interesting and important information, then definitely check that out.
Yeah. Yes.
So how are we doing with your points? Get out of your own way. So Ansylla talked about that as a number one point. Investigate and try to understand what some of these different opportunities are to make money. Be open to thinking outside of the box. Number two, finding your why. Like why do you want to have money or to make money, right? That's sort of like,
Yeah. Why is it that you want to make a change? Because most of us do. We may be gainfully employed,
yeah,
but is there a month left after the money's done?
right,
You
right,
know,
right.
or even if you're comfortable financially, do you want more time, more freedom,
Right.
more control of your schedule, more control of your life?
Yeah. So these are definitely things you can kind of get a jump start on the New Year's resolutions if you're kind of posing these questions to yourself and taking these points down, because everyone wants to make a change usually during the new year, and so these are definitely things that you can sort of get a jump start on. So finding your why, and then do you have any additional points for us?
Finding your why, get out of your own way. This kind of is a beat to the get out of your own way.
Okay.
It's easy to stay comfortable, but being comfortable doesn't bring change. You have to come out of your comfort zone, doing something different, stretching yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Another great tip I heard recently is every day do something that makes you uncomfortable. And that helps you to progress. It helps you to grow. I know personally, one thing I had to do, I had to really shift a lot of my priorities, where I was spending my time, where I was spending my energy. Now I'm a lot more focused on information that I know I need, finding that information, spending the time to process that information, and then applying it. So that's become my world for the most part.
Okay.
And then I'm able to then help other people. And that's important to me. That's another part of my why, because I just really, it's just my personality. I like to help other folks. That's why I love doing stuff like this. I learn something, I tell somebody else. They listen or not, that's up to them, but I've done my part in sharing information.
Right. Good for you, Ansylla. We appreciate it too. Like I've learned so much in the last 20 minutes.
I'm
So
glad
I
to hear
really,
that.
really appreciate that. So we were talking about getting out of your comfort zone. In order to make change, you're going to have to make yourself, uncomfortable. And you talked about a shift in priorities, and sometimes that might have to happen. A lot of times that'll probably have to happen. So I think those are all really, really good points. So once again, just to recap, we were talking about the holiday blues and some of the things that contribute to the holiday blues and how to overcome those things. And Ansylla was talking specifically about the financial part of things, the financial constraints. We were talking about what advice to give to folks who were, strapped financially and just kind of dealing with that during the holidays. But, most recently she was talking about making a significant change in your financial well-being and financial health, in the year ahead, or even today. You can start today. You don't have to wait till January 1st to make a change. You can start, doing some of these things that Ansylla talked about today. And so definitely check out on Carrots and Coins. You said there's a Facebook Live on the Facebook on that Carrots and Coins page.
Yes, 9
tonight?
p.m. tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And I'm just going to be sharing some information. And since I have you guys' attention, I want you guys, if you have not taken any time to understand cryptocurrency, please do so.
Okay.
This is where the world is going, period. There's no stopping it. There's no changing it. This is where we're going. And unfortunately, there are groups of us who get left behind because we find out late. Perfect example. Who knew Bitcoin has been around for 10 years?
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
10
I thought it was a new thing.
10 years. The anniversary was early November, like the 2nd, 3rd of November, something like that. 10 years.
Wow.
So again, I think I first heard of Bitcoin maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. So we're already 8 years late,
Right.
And there are some people who know less than I do. So
Yeah.
really, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm seriously asking you to understand cryptocurrency and get in the game, because at one point the dollar the dollar is going to be useless. That's just real. You don't believe me? There are experts talking about it all over YouTube, all over the internet. There are blogs, there's news reports. You have to
Check it out. You
you
guys can
have
always
to
verify,
Oh,
cross reference.
absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
encourage you to do so.
And if you want some links, just message me and I'll send you some links.
Mm-hmm.
One example of what happened in Venezuela.
Mm.
Venezuela, they kept printing currency, wasn't backed by anything. There was some other stuff going on too with the government. But bottom line, the Venezuelan currency is worthless. It's just flowing in the street because you can't do anything. You can't do anything with it. It's worthless. It got so bad that one news report I read, it said that the ATMs, they shut them down because people needed so much currency to buy just little things that the ATMs just couldn't keep the money in.
Wow.
So I'm just saying, just be aware, be alert,
Yeah.
at least find out, because once you know, you can make an informed decision, but not knowing, it's just not an option. So tune in to the
Yeah.
and I'm not going to get all deep into crypto so you understand every little thing. No, I just want you to understand what it is, why you need to know about it, why it matters, and why you need to get in the game. And getting in the game does not take thousands and thousands of dollars. It really doesn't. It's affordable if you work with the right people and just knowing how to get in there and understand it. And that way, when it all comes down, it all hits the fan, you'll know what's going on.
Right.
And you won't wait 10 years to
Right.
know what's happening.
And you heard it first from Ansylla Ramsey. So great information, Ansylla. We're so grateful for this information. So I really hope that you guys will take Ansylla up on her offer to learn more about cryptocurrency, the information that she's providing free of charge on the Facebook Live tonight at 9. In addition, I wanted to, as we're sort of wrapping up this talk, I did want to let you know there are other opportunities to kind of see me talk to the community about mental health issues. I actually will be speaking as a panelist on November the 30th at Largo Community Church. It's a forum for faith leaders and mental health professionals, and we're going to be talking about mental health in the faith community. And so it's at Largo Community Church on November 30th from 9 to 4 p.m. If you follow me on Instagram or, the Facebook, you'll certainly see advertisements, in the next, few days. So definitely wanted to make sure that I do that I say that. I'm not great at self-promotion, but it's one of those things that I really do want people to, get the information and, to at least say that they knew about it and, can attend if they choose to do so. So definitely check that out if you can, November 30th. Any other things coming up, Ansylla, for you with regard to, financial education?
Yes. We have an event in Pikesville, Maryland, the 23rd.
Okay.
So that's this Friday, right?
That's this Friday.
Yes. This Friday, the 23rd, 5 p.m.
Okay.
So after you've gone out to spend your Black Friday money,
Right.
come with us and learn how to make more.
Right.
It's always really informative, and it's about this opportunity to save in gold, and the cryptocurrency is going to be covered as well. So it's called the Baltimore Blockchain Event.
Okay.
And I have a Facebook event created. So if you have any interest whatsoever, just shoot me a message and I can send you the details. But I will be there. I would love for you to join us. Let me know that you're coming. I can add you to my personal guest list.
Nice.
I can welcome you and, everything like that. But definitely worth it. Like I said, you guys, sometimes you just have to, if you want to do something different, you have to do something different.
Wow.
If you want freedom, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over. And by no means am I telling people to run out and quit their job.
No,
by no means. Just please understand, even when I closed my salon, I planned that for 5 years.
Wow.
That's why I'm still eating. Because, it's a shift. I don't have the money coming in every day.
Actually, that you had been.
I have been planning.
So before I even knew you,
Well, I knew, at some point. I just didn't want to be behind the chair at 60 years old, 65, and I'm not knocking it for those who do it.
Right.
It just wasn't going to be for me.
Yeah. Wow. But she was very intentional and she had a plan. And so I think that's what, the advice would be.
Right.
Yeah.
Once you decide what you want to do, you have to have a plan. But again, you have to start with that first step. What is it that you want? Why do you want it? And how am I going to get it?
That's great. The big threes.
Mm-hmm.
Big 3. All right. Well, thank you, Ansylla, for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, I probably will have you another
I know,
time.
be happy to come.
Lots of times. But we appreciate her being here and the knowledge that she's imparted. I hope that I also provided some helpful
Absolutely.
information for you guys regarding the holiday blues.
Definitely.
So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next month.
Thanks, you
All right.
guys. Y'all have a
Bye-bye.
good day.
Bye-bye.